What's up?
Hi.
Good to see you again.
I know it's been great. It's been a while, but yeah,
A
very
while,
excited to be
like
back.
what, like 2 months?
Has it only been 2 months since June? Oh, that is, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So for the audience, last time Eleanor and I were hanging out was in San Francisco for the summits. I think back
Yep.
to back. Were you at Snowflake or Databricks or both?
I just did Snowflake. I was going to
Okay,
do
that was Snowflake.
both, but I think it's similar audience for me.
It's similar. I think the overlap of the vendors that attend one are pretty much the same as the others. So yeah, that's how it
Yeah, that
is.
makes sense.
That's what it is. I guess for people who don't know who you are, do you want to give a quick intro?
Yes, I am Eleanor. I'm based in London and I run a partnerships consultancy. So essentially, we help companies in the data and AI space to make friends with other companies so they can make more money together.
Okay. That's actually a really good way of describing that. So,
Yeah, I had to learn it because my family had no idea what I did. For the
okay.
longest time, it was just like, what do you do? And there was no easy way to describe it. And partnerships is one of those things that can be so many things that I just came up with how I would describe it to anyone.
I like that. I like that a lot. And we met, I think you were, so I was handling partnerships on behalf of my old consultancy, and I believe that's how we met because you were on the other end of the table, I suppose, the proverbial table, running partnerships at which company?
Fivetran.
Yes,
Yep.
tiny company. Kidding. Um,
It was when I started. When I started Fivetran, I was one of the first employees in London. There was maybe 300 of us globally.
oh wow.
So it had crazy growth in the time that I was there. But yeah, ran their partner program. So that was when we met. I was launching the new partner program for them at the time.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess for the audience there, right? So walk me through this. So, um, you sort of described what a partnership is. We get together, we meet new friends, and we make more money together.
Yep.
But let's back up here. Why would partnerships even exist in the first place?
Yeah. So for a company to work with other companies, really, there's so many reasons why you would want to partner. One would be revenue generation. Like, if you think about your sales team, you've got a few people going to market for you. If you work with even five partners, you've got then five companies and their sales team or their consultancies supporting your go to market as well. So you're expanding your reach in a massive way. And that could be in your own regions, it could be in other regions. You could have partners that have different language capabilities to you, and therefore that's going to help you expand into other spaces. So
Mm,
partners are a great way largely to expand your reach in so many different ways. And then there's a ton of stats behind all of this that say that, like, partner driven leads have a higher close rate. They have a higher value, a higher lifetime value of that customer. There's so many great stats behind partner led opportunities that lead to better results.
hmm. Yeah, it's and it is interesting because what I sometimes do see, and I'd love your take on this, but um, I think you realize partnerships are necessary when you tried to go the lone wolf route for the longest time, and sometimes you can pull it off, but the space is quite big, the ecosystem is vast, and um, yeah, it's challenging for the end customer, right? The person who's buying either the services from an SI or a vendor. There's no shortage of options out there right now, so it's
Yes,
a lot of noise.
absolutely. If you think about it in the data space, especially, like you say, there's a lot of noise, but you need so many different technologies in order to make work whatever you need. So if you think about it from the customer's perspective, they're thinking, well, who do I go to? What do I do? And to have, in a consultancy standpoint, to have that third party that you can go to that is somewhat unbiased, they're going to have their preferred vendors, but to be able to go to a consultancy and say, hey, look, here's what we're trying to do. Who do you recommend that we work with? Can you source those technologies for us? Can you implement them for us? Can we pay you? Do we have to, like, there's so much benefit to it, especially in a space like the data space where there's a lot of noise, having partners can help reduce that noise.
How do you see this play out? Is it a vendor? Do they it's sort of chicken and egg thing, right? So if I'm an SI, I'm not a vendor. Is it better for me to go out and seek partnerships with vendors, or if I'm a vendor, do I want to go out and seek partnerships with other vendors or SIs? Like, how does this all work? Like, how do people get started? Uh,
Yeah. And when do they get started, right? Because
yeah.
yeah, like partnerships are not something that you want to do from day one. Even as a partnerships expert running my own consultancy and partnerships, I didn't do partnerships from day one. Partnerships are so valuable for your business, but only when you understand what your business is. So I'd say from a vendor standpoint, if you have a product, if you have a product yourself and you're thinking about when do I go and find partners and how do I go and find partners, you want to be doing it when you've got, I always say, 15 paying customers, product market fit, and a couple of salespeople. If you're
Mm,
at that point, great time to start thinking about partners. Before that, you can't educate your partners on how to pitch your offering, how to position it, how to implement it, because you don't know how to. You don't know what your objections are. You don't know which market is a good fit for you. So you can't train your partners on that. So I'd say when you've got those things, then start thinking about partners. Similarly, for consultancies as well, if you're going back the other way, if you're a SI/consultancy. So consultancies are typically called SIs, so systems integrators. Again, similar standpoint. If you've got some paying customers of your own, you understand what your fit is, and you have leads that you can then share with vendors, great time to start thinking about it.
mhm.
Then in terms of who you partner with, you need to be thinking about what an ideal partner looks like. In the same way that you think about what an ideal customer looks like, what is your ideal partner profile? Um, and there's a few ways you can look at that. I have a 4A framework that I talk about when defining your IPP. So you want good alignment. Do they partner in the way that you want to partner? Do they have a good cultural fit? Do they focus on similar things to you? So just general alignment. What are you looking at in a partner? What's their ability like? Do they have expertise in your space? Do they have maybe certifications? Do they have complementary partners to you and what your offering is? And then their audience, do they have overlapping customer profile to you? Do they go into a similar market or a market that you want to go into? And then finally, accountability, like how are they going to work with you? Because you have some partners that will sign and never talk to you again. So what does that look like
Yeah.
and what do you want it to look like?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I would say with my old consultancy, we started off with the intention of partnering, which is kind of weird. But I think I don't know that I would have done that again that way, right? So I think at that time, and I can talk about this because the company is no more. So, but what was it? I think our intention was to partner with AWS because we saw another consultancy who was a AWS partner, and this is back in the mid 2010s ish,
Mm,
2017 era. But so we're seeing that success, right? And at that time, AWS as a partner was actually funding a lot of POC engagements, and I saw the numbers on these things like, gee, crap, like this is because I was in a client when this other partner came in, and this client wanted the I think this SI was just offering free POCs, so they're just like screw it, and so I was working alongside, and it just occurred to me, okay, cool, so this SI is making, I think at that time, 50 grand for a 30-day POC. AWS is funding all that. It's like, okay, this is
yeah.
insane, right? So after that, I started taking maybe a bit of a different thought into this and started trying to figure out the world of partnerships. As it turns out, I think a company like AWS, a great company, of course, but they have so many partners that they, especially when you're at the bottom layer, it doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense to me. I think if you're going to go and this other one was I think advanced or premier partner at the time, which meant you got a lot more attention. So I think if you're going to do a partnership with the big companies, what I learned is, um, be big. Except then the next partner that worked with us was Google. So Google came knocking because they were trying to get into Salt Lake City at the time, all these
Hmm.
accounts, and then we knew everybody.
Yep.
So, we tried to be very, I think, mindful towards our relationships with the customers they wanted to go after. But that was a great partnership, right? But it was just Matt and I. And I think that was a much different situation where we were given a lot of attention. We were basically an extension of Google for a while. That obviously changed, new leadership and so forth. That doesn't exist anymore. But that was a great opportunity for us that didn't expect. So kind of saw it from both angles to the big companies, and then obviously partner with other companies like the Fivetrans of the world and Matillion and many many others, right? But we became Snowflake. We became great partners with all of them. I would say what we really went to bat for our partners. It was a great experience, I would say, but definitely learned a lot along the way. So it's
I can imagine. And yeah, there's so many different types of partnership, right? You've got your big vendors, your big like tech platform marketplaces. I always say to people like pick one. Pick one that you think you
yeah,
can like double down on when it comes to the bigger ones. Then you can have a few smaller ones. If you're a technology company, you're probably going to want some complementary
yeah,
technology partnerships to your own. It's going to be a very different motion, though, to then if you want to go to market with consultancies or SIs, as we call
mhm,
them, or value added resellers or VARs, as they're called, or managed service providers. There's so many different types of partnership. You've got to pick a couple, and that comes into when you define
yeah,
your ideal partner profile as well. It's like, what type of partner is going to work for us and what kind of model is going to work for us. Do we want them to refer business? Do we going to co-sell? Are we going to resell? Like what
right.
does that look like? So picking, a small number to start with, picking one big vendor is a great way to go. If you try and go out with 50 partners straight away, it's not going to work.
It's too much of a cognitive load too. Like you're having to. I mean, imagine if that was like 50 kids that you had to take care of. It's a lot, like a
Yeah.
like a daycare. Um, you know, I mean, I know that a lot of my work towards as we got more partners was just constant calls with partners, right? Like, let's figure out go to market. What are these deals, right? So a lot of what are these opportunities? Working with the sales team, right? Working with the partner manager. And actually, that's a good question. Actually, so in a typical vendor, for example, walk me through how I guess the org chart of the partner ecosystem would look like in a typical, say, a data vendor.
From when they very first start, or how they look in a company like Fivetran now?
I think from how they start to becoming a company like Fivetran, and then probably bigger, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say how they start depends on whether or not they work with an org like ours. I see some companies going straight to VP of alliances. I think that's
Mm,
unnecessary. I think, if you bring in, so like, I always look at partnerships like there's builders and there's networkers. We build the partner program, the foundation, so that they can bring in their networkers to just run it, and really start making it a success and start executing against it. Some companies don't go down that route and they hire a VP of alliances first. Normally that person defines the strategy and then they hire a partnership team under them to actually go and find the partners, start executing, and start building that out. It's not how I recommend going. I think a VP of alliances as a first hire is so risky and so expensive. Like, you really want to prove it out first, but in order to prove it out, you have to have someone with experience, which is kind
yeah.
of why I have a business in the first place. So,
Right.
but you'll start off with a partnerships person of sorts. Whatever level you bring in, and that person is going to start finding partners, managing partners, working with the internal teams to start developing pipeline with those partners. They're probably going to work with the marketing team, with the finance team, with the legal team. That is so cross-functional as a role. That first hire is going to do it all.
Yep.
And then you'll have a couple more people. You'll normally need a partner technical, a partner SE, or something to that effect. Is
What's an
normally a really, really
SE?
good sales engineer.
Yep.
Yeah, so partner sales engineer or partner solutions engineer or something. So it's more of a technical person that can support you with partnerships, especially if you're in one of the data vendors. That's going to be a key role, for enablement and things like that. Then partner operations is very much something that isn't hired as early as it should be. Partner operations is going to really manage the back end of the program, make sure that partners are contracted, make sure that they're paid effectively, etc. Um, and then you're going to want something like partner marketing. Yeah, there's a ton of roles within that partnership team that is really, really crucial. And you can start getting
I
more
don't know if you.
expertise as you move.
Where were
Okay.
we?
You asked me about how a partnership team is set up.
Yes.
Yes.
And
So,
then you were saying that VP of Alliances probably was a bit overkill for an early stage company, but
yeah,
that was about it.
companies super early stages don't need a VP of alliances as their first hire. They want to actually prove out the value of partnerships first, check it actually works, and then you can hire that further down the line. So you want people that are actually going to manage the partnerships first. Then, as I mentioned, partner, sales engineer, partner solutions engineer, whatever you want to call it, a more technical person to support the partnerships. Partner operations that can manage the partner program, the back end of the partner program, keep certifications up to date, manage any partner technologies that you have, any payments, contracting, all of the back end operational stuff, your CRM updates with partners, all of that stuff. Really important. And so many companies don't have a handle on. So the partnership managers end up doing it, which takes away from their revenue generating time. Partner marketing, partner program manager, all of those stuff kind of comes further down the line. But there's so many specialist partnership roles that can be done.
Right. And then see you're a vendor and you happen to have the success of say a Fivetran, like is
Yeah.
that when you start bringing out those specialized roles?
Yeah.
Okay. What would
Yeah.
be the first specialized role you would hire for? Or is there one? Is it all kind of case by case?
If you have a very technical offering, then the partner sales engineer or the partner technical person is going to be really, really crucial because you need to enable your partners effectively. And if you're not enabling your partners effectively, they cannot go to market on your behalf. So hiring someone like that is super important. You can borrow from the sales team for a while, but you need someone dedicated that can do those partner webinars, that can do the training on an ongoing basis. Even if you have online training, it always needs topping up. So that technical support, very important. Straight after that, I'd go partner operations, which most companies don't do.
What is partner operations?
So they're going to support with a bit like revenue operations, but for partners. So
Okay.
they're going to support with making sure that certifications, contracting, partner payments, if you don't pay your partners on time, they're not going to want to bring you leads in the future. And that happens so regularly because the partner managers are trying to do it all. They're going to manage your partner portal if you have one, all of the deal flow between the CRM and a partner portal, all of that kind of back end operational stuff that quite often the partnership managers end up having to do, a partner operations person will do that.
Got it. And you mentioned these things called referrals and payments, and so
Yeah.
yeah, as a partner on the SI front, these are nice. I would say don't base your business on them, but they are nice to get. I always look at them as Christmas bonuses
Yeah.
that would come whenever we'd get paid. There were some partners I would say that uh, were very, I would say, generous with referrals.
Hmm.
I remember, there were a few situations where some partners ghosted us and didn't pay at all, and I think that it's still, yeah. Well, I have a long memory for these things, so
Yeah.
yeah. So but that did happen. Like there was one partner rep that, we helped them get into some deals, and just never heard from him again. Emailed a bunch, never heard at all. Nothing. Very
That
clearly in the
really
contract.
sucks.
Yeah, yeah,
That really damages trust and integrity, which leads into trust. Like it's so important to get them paid. And I think it's one of those things I always say that referral fees are like a thank you for holding open the door. It's not
yeah,
why you do it, but it's polite to do. You know, if someone brings you an opportunity that allows your business to generate revenue, you say thank you. And if you
yeah.
don't, like, it doesn't make you look good at all. And like you say, people have a long memory. So getting those paid on time is so crucial for building and maintaining your reputation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'd say yeah, but it's one of those things. It's hard to evaluate beforehand, right? Because if it's a because every company sort of seems like they have their act together when it comes to partnerships. You can sort of tell. I think from the SI, I learned to sort of know what I was getting myself into after having seen sort of the gamut of different size companies, like AWS, who I mentioned before. I mean, our partner was flat out told us that poor guy had like 4,000 companies under him.
Wow.
At which
Yeah.
point I was like, never mind. I don't expect to hear from you at all. I'm surprised we're talking actually. So that was, but it was also, I think, a very clarifying thing for us. Where okay, if we're not going to focus on moving up to probably premier level partnership, which is what I think where it starts mattering, it probably doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just you can use their logo and great, but it ends up costing you as the SI. It does cost you money and time in terms of paying the annual fee, and then you got to get recertified and all this other stuff, right? So that's time on the consultants end that they have to invest in. That's money that could be spent on other stuff. So just keep that in mind. Like if you're, now I'm the one giving advice on partnerships, but like from the SI point of view, if you want to, if especially if there's money where you have to pay it and there's certs, like be very selective. Like you were saying, Eleanor, like go with one platform, probably for a while actually, and just get into the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Because to spread yourself too thin, it means like multiple certs, payments, and probably no attention actually.
Mm.
So
For sure. And have an ongoing review cycle for that as well. Like
yeah,
even as a smaller consultancy now, I have, some great partners, but I consistently review our partners. Like it's not because I dislike any of them, they're all fantastic, but who are we doing business with? Who aligns to our ideal partner profile? And who can we bring value to? And if not, then it's a waste of everyone's time for us to pour resource into something that just doesn't work,
yeah.
and frees up more time for us to focus on partners that are right.
hmm So you started a business.
Yeah.
Congratulations and condolences. So,
Thank you.
yeah, it's hard work. What was that like? Had you run a business before?
No, never. I
Oh,
was very much what my friend calls an accidental CEO.
okay.
I became a business owner. Obviously, I set the business up on purpose, but I had
Yeah.
had no intention of doing it before. I distinctly remember saying, I never want to have a business. I just
Why
didn't
would you
have
say that?
I didn't have a desire for it growing up. I wasn't someone that really looked at it as something that I wanted to do, nor did I think it was possible. I don't think I grew up around many business owners, and it wasn't until I started to see a few people in my sphere that were doing it, I was like, oh, it's possible. And then when I came up with the idea, I was like, oh, I think I'm doing it now. It's
Yeah.
worth a shot. Let's go, essentially. But I wasn't, you've got like lifelong entrepreneurs. You've got some people that were just like built for business straight away. They never had a full-time job. They just went straight into building businesses. I was not that person. I ended up building because I saw a problem that I really wanted to fix, and that was the rest is history. I mean, we're 2.5 years in now, which is very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. I think. Yeah. You mentioned your thinking or no? Because I think where did I see you? I think we met in was it New York? I think it
Yeah.
was. Yeah. Um. Yeah. And I don't know. Something told me you're gonna do something different or make a decision, and I wasn't sure what prompted that in the back of my head. But then you'd I think it was a bit later, and you're like, yeah, you're on your own now. That's pretty cool. So.
Yep.
That's, but it made
Yep.
sense from the outside in. I was like, yeah, I mean, that seems like the kind of business that you should do. It doesn't, it's nothing. It wasn't any shock to it. Like, what the hell? No, it seemed like a very good fit. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's been great. And I'm no longer on my own. I have a team now.
well,
Which is very exciting. Yeah. Yeah.
what was
There's a
that
few of
like?
us. And it's my team are fantastic. My hesitation wasn't because they aren't great. but I had never done that before, getting
Yeah.
once you learn how to build a business and learn how to be a consultant as well. That was a challenge for me. And initially, I'd gone from being internal and just getting stuff done to now bringing people on the journey with me. I think people think that they can go from being an expert in a company to then being a great consultant. Like, no, like I'm good at
Yeah.
what I do, but learning how to be a consultant took me some time as well. So I had that
Hmm.
journey, figuring out how to actually run a business in the background, and then hiring a team was a whole other level that required new learning for me. And my team are fantastic, but you have to support additional people. It's no longer just you. Um, and that it can be challenging. It's wonderful and challenging. It's as easy and as hard as doing it alone, I think.
Oh yeah. And I think people underestimate this too, because if you're on your own and bootstrap, like that's money that comes out of your account. So I
Yep.
always used to tell people like every month it's sort of like if you had a kid that was going to go to college for a year, that's that money that's now going
Yep.
out. So there needs to be a return on that. Um, Otherwise, little Timmy could use that for college, um, or a car or something. I don't know, but or you could buy a car. But yeah, it's expensive. So, but it does help you scale. It was the old thing, and I actually gave a talk about this recently at my Discord group, Lunch and Learn, about just I think it was called "So You Want to Start a Business?" question mark. And I think the first slide was you should not start a business. Most of you have should really just not consider this at all. And it's like because the whole point was like just because you're a good technician, just because you had success at a company, doesn't mean you can translate that into running a business. These are two totally
No.
different things. Just because you're highly effective at, say, being partnerships, for example, and you definitely have made a business, but some people I would imagine who I've met doing partnerships have no business doing a business at all. You should definitely work at a company. Like just continue doing that because it's a whole other skill set. Like you said, like yeah, you got to be able to delegate to people. You spend your own money. All the other stuff you need to run a business, plus all the mental stuff that you go through. Like it's a
Yeah,
journey.
that's the biggest thing. I'd say that. There are so many people that are great at what they do, but if you do not have the mental fitness to weather storms and get up the next day after, or even show up to the next call after a bad call, or, you know, be able to weather through some of the most challenging months of your life, you're gonna really really struggle. I'd say it's more of a mental thing for me. Like running a
It is.
business is so much more about mental resilience, mental fitness, than it is about skill set. And
Yeah.
some people don't have that, and that's okay. And there have been days where I doubted whether I had that or not,
Sure.
and everyone does. And that's the thing. I think you think when you go into business you're going to be the one that doesn't fail ever. Yeah, I definitely thought that I'd never have a cash flow problem and that I would never hire the wrong person. I was like, that won't happen to me. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be the one that doesn't
Nice.
happen to. And of course, it happens because so many people sit there and they're like, I'm going to start a business and I'm not going to face any of those problems that anyone else faces because I've heard about them all. Oh, you will, 100%. You will. Do you still want to go into it knowing it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done?
Yeah. I think yeah, it's interesting. Like, well, let me ask you this: why do you think it is that people feel that they're exempt from uh, the ups and downs of a business, the realities of it?
I think it's one of those things that you cannot possibly know until you're in it. It's like, I'm not a parent, so I can't compare it to parenting, but I imagine it's like that. I imagine from the outside looking in, you're like, oh, like I can, because you only see a snippet of it. If I think of someone that doesn't have children and I look at my friends and family who have children, I see a snippet of it. I see the highlight reel, I see the odd tantrum, I don't see the behind the scenes of stuff. I don't see the 24-hourness that goes into that. So I think all of a sudden I was like, I'm not going to do any of those small things, or I think there is a perfect way of doing this, and I'm not going to handle any of those. I'm not going to have to handle any of those hurdles. But you don't know it until you're in it. And I think
Yeah,
it's the same with running a business. Very two different skill sets, but running a
they're actually
business,
pretty
you can
similar.
see.
It's
Okay.
actually really similar, because it's a sense that nobody prepares you for it, right? Nobody prepares you to be a parent. Um, there's books. I think what to expect when you're expecting is the one where everyone reads it, and you read that, and then reality hits. You're like, this is sort of the book way. There's nothing really useful here. Business is much the same way. I feel like so. There's a lot of parallels, and it's just yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of parallels in the sense where you're dealing with something that's been born. It needs nurturing. Things will happen along the way that you don't expect, good and bad. It gets older, it becomes mature. And then finally, maybe someday it takes on a life of its own. And maybe this is something I think a lot of business owners need to realize too, is sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. Other times your company might be successful and you might not be the person to run it anymore. Right. And so that's
Mm,
a good problem to have. But that's much like parenting where, yeah, the kid eventually leaves, hopefully, and goes off to, do whatever they're doing. But your job is to set it up for success. And I think there's a lot of parallels to business. But the unexpected nature of everything is definitely true. Because it's easy right now, especially with social media, to look on, and say, oh, obviously everyone should be an entrepreneur. Obviously, this is what I should do too. And it's just that easy. You just got to like hustle, take selfies in front of a private plane, um, maybe get a picture in front of a Maybach or something. But really, that's success. And then, show up at cocktail hours, go to founder events, all this other stuff. But that's like cosplay. That's all the
hmm.
bullshit, LARPing that goes on. That's not business. Business is like what, the 24/7 thinking about your business, working on it. Um, it just doesn't ever stop. And the thing is,
No.
as you evolve, it gets even more complex. So it doesn't stop there either. So,
That's the thing. Like, I thought it got easier for some reason because people will tell you at the start, people give you advice for where you're at, right? So, people gave me advice at the very, very beginning, and people were so excited for me, and they're like, it's amazing, blah, blah. And I was like, great, like having a newborn. And then someone in passing at a conference said to me, oh, you're going into year three, make or break year. And I kind of looked at them and I was like, what? Like, I didn't think they meant me as a person. I thought they meant the business. And I don't know what truth there is to this. For me, it's been very real. The third year has been the hardest for me because
hmm,
you live in the UK. That's where your, you know, tax wise things start building up and you have to pay full year bills in a way that you didn't have to earlier on. You started to take risks, you started to figure out new ways of doing things. You're probably very tired if you're running consultancy because you've run at it for 2 years and then you think, this is not scalable anymore. How can I start changing things along the way? Like the third year for me has required more personal growth than any other
yep.
year has so far. um, and that's massive.
It's massive, massive. The personal growth is definitely one of those things where I think that's the investment a lot of people don't make until they realize they have to. It's like having a horrible addiction or something and realizing I should probably change my life at some point. So, but it's because you bring like the version of yourself of when you left your company or when you started it, but that person hasn't evolved really. It's gotten more calloused, I would say, that person,
Yeah.
and but I think you're and that's good. I think you're a lot more hardened. But John Maxwell, good leadership guru, but he described it as the law of the lid, where there's a certain cap on your ability to lead, and
Mm,
your only choice. Well, you have two choices. You can stay where you are. A lot of people do that. You can make conscious efforts. Also, the other choice is to make conscious efforts to grow the height of that lid and keep expanding. But that's something that a lot of people want to do because it requires a lot of self reflection and I think a lot of self scrutiny that is just extremely uncomfortable for a lot of people.
yeah. Business will teach you more about yourself in the first couple of weeks than
Yeah,
so many other things or anything else. People always say to me, and I'm not even joking when I say this, people laugh. People say to me, what's the one thing that you recommend I do before starting a business? And I always reply, therapy.
I was about to say,
Like,
yeah.
if you if you have never if you've never figured that stuff out, like, so important because if you have a fear of rejection, you have insecurities, which most of us do. Like 99.9% of the population, I'm sure, have these things come up. You're going to be showing them in your first couple of weeks of business. People are going to reject you. People are going to give you bad feedback. You're going to feel insecure. Like, it's all going to happen. It's human. And if you don't have a handle on those things, it's going to make things a lot harder.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. And assuming you are successful, the chance of that happening over time is pretty low. But if you are successful and you come into a lot of money, all those insecurities just get amplified by now you have money, and now you can be whatever version of that person you
Mm.
are with money, which is just this huge amplifier on things. I've seen people, really good people make money and they've done great things with it. I've seen horrible people make money and just become, I would say, the orders of magnitude worse people as a result.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but it's one of those things too. I think it's you progress as you do. Like I take time out to do a personal inventory of kind of where I am, and that's been helpful for sure. And I started another business now. I'm not doing consulting anymore. I really didn't want to do that anymore. But that was a decision where that came from, I think, just understanding what was working and what wasn't. Um, and so but the thing is you want to double down too, because I think there's almost a stubbornness in business where it's like you have to keep doing this because that's um what you think you should be doing. And
Mm.
the cool thing with the world, especially right now, is you can pivot to do whatever you want.
Yeah,
So
you can pivot so much, even in the business as it stands. You don't have to shut down your business and start a new one in order to pivot. Like, that might be what you want to do. But for some people, they get to just change direction. But taking that time, like you say, is so important. Like,
mhm.
I always, I was reflecting recently, like, what advice would I have given myself in my first year if I could have gone back? And one of them was rest when it was good. You
Yep.
know, they're going to be challenging times where you actually can't rest. You can't take, a ton of time off. And while you don't want to like step away from your clients for months on end when things are good, but taking one day a quarter for a 90-day check-in as to, I'm going to have no calls on this day. I'm going to spend some time with myself, figure out what's working, what isn't working. Am I happy? Do I like doing this? If you're going to create a business, make sure it's something you like.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to spend so much time doing it, unless you're only in it for the money. And don't come to me for business advice if that's the case, because I don't have any advice for those
I tell
people.
people, look, if you want to make a lot of money real quick, become a drug dealer, get into like scammy crypto stuff, right? Like that's if money is your only consideration, become an arms dealer, like that kind of stuff. You'll make far
Yeah.
more money. Build a data center. Um,
Yep.
it's like
Yeah. Like, don't build a consultancy because
that's
it's
like the
going to
worst
be.
business you could do, actually. It's like in terms of like high friction, margins, stress. Yeah, it's great. But the working on things, we're talking, in an era right now where there's a lot of AI tools, which I think, can seemingly help us be more productive. Are you incorporating AI into any of the ways that you work?
Yes, from both a personal and business perspective. Like, I use AI for I use AI for a lot personally. Even just when I'm having those fears come up in business, I'm having those fears, those insecurities, or if I want inspiration, then I will use it for that. From a business perspective, yes, I can we can use it for client work. Not fully. Like, I not end to end. We don't do anything end to end with AI yet. Is very much a human in the loop process with this. And I think partnership should always be that way, to be honest.
Yeah,
Partnerships are human, they are relationship focused. And I think AI can make us more human if we let it, especially in partnerships. I spoke earlier about some of the stuff that a partner manager has to do. So many different roles. I heard someone saying recently a partnership manager does 16 different roles. So there's so much that they're trying to do while managing those hundreds of relationships in some cases. So what can we use AI to do that's going to allow us more time to connect on a human level? That's
right.
how we should be thinking about this, especially from a partnership perspective. The areas that I would use it now are to find great partners, find the
Mm.
best partners for you, and then do outreach to those partners for you as well. The thing with that is you need to figure out your ideal partner profile first in order to reach out to find the right partners, and then figure out your joint value proposition, or what your value is to partners. So many companies pitch partners with just their product. I'm like, our product's amazing, you should sell it to your customers. It's like, no, like that's not a partner value proposition, that's a customer
Right.
value proposition. What's your partner value proposition? And then the AI tools can support you with that. But make sure you've got your foundations in place first. Otherwise, the AI
Mm.
tool is going to push out an absolute load of rubbish, like rubbish in, rubbish out, right? Like you've got to have your foundations first. Ideal partner profile, your messaging. Then the AI tool can support you with that stuff. But you've got to have it nailed first.
Mm-hmm. Totally
From
agree.
a ongoing management perspective, there are a couple of areas in which I would like to use it and
Mm.
haven't used it yet for partnerships. I would like to use AI to help me predict which partners are going to be successful. So if you're thinking, if you're that AWS person, for example, right, and you've got thousands of partners, how do I predict which of these partners are going to be the most successful for me? As someone who's worked in
Mm.
partnerships for 10 years now, I can tell from the first call. I know whether that partner is going to be
Ooh.
one that we, you know, are going to focus time and attention on or not, with a pretty high success rate. But that's because I've spent years understanding what makes a good partner. So there's a lot of data points that I am picking up on that I'm not necessarily aware of. But that's hard to train. So if I bring a new person on board, I'm like, oh, I've got I've got a gut feel that is based on a load of data points and experience in my mind, but I can't hand that over to you. So I would love to be able to find a way for an AI tool to work with me to figure out what those data points are to help predict which of the partners coming in are going to be the most successful and therefore we should focus the right time and attention on.
Let me ask you, so on that first call, like what is it about the conversation that would, I guess, help you understand whether that person is going to be a good partner or not, whether it's a go?
There's something around, do they fit the profile, for example? That's an easy one to train a tool on, is do they fit our ideal partner profile? But then there's things like intent and their own objectives, their expectations. Some of the questions that I ask new prospective partners is, what does a great partner look like to you? What does a bad partner look like to you? Some people cannot answer those questions, and it's okay if they can't, but if they can't, they they probably haven't worked with partners before. And I want expectations. I want us to understand what good partnership looks like to either party. What are you going to bring to the table? What are we going to bring to the table? How often are we going to communicate? Do we have an idea of where we're going to go together now? Like, is the intention for good partnership there? And do you know what that looks like? I think those things help me understand that they're ready to go. And
Right.
that's not to say that if they don't have that, they wouldn't be a good partner one day, but they're not quite ready yet. They're not ready to like get foot on the gas, let's go now. They need to figure that stuff out. And then we could potentially go to market together.
Mm-hmm. What are red flags?
Partners that focus super heavily on the margin.
Okay.
If they spend half the call debating back and forth the margin, like probably not
Like debating?
right.
Like in the first call, they do that?
They don't debate it, but it's a huge focus for them.
Okay.
So if it is a huge focus for a company, I'm like, why is that what's important to you? Because if you're a technology vendor, for example, and you're speaking to a consultancy, ideally their focus should be on the product and the value to their customer base. If it's not, do they have the right intent? Or are they just looking for margin, and are they going to recommend the product that has the highest margin available? So
Yeah.
it's a tricky one. There's no like quick rule on it. But if I find a company is like speaking a lot about the margin, it is a bit of a red flag for me because it shows me what's important to them. So that would be a bit of a red flag. And then just a lack of some of the stuff I've spoken about, like lack of
Yeah.
expectation, lack of intention, wanting it all one way. So we need you to bring us all the leads. We don't have anything back. Like this is a partnership, this is a relationship. You can't just sit there and be like, we expect everything from you and we're going to give nothing in return, which I know a lot of vendors do.
Hmm.
So understanding what you can bring to the party, no matter which side you're on, very important.
Yeah, and even as the SI, on the other side of it, I would listen for a lot of similar things if it seemed, I'll never forget, when we partnered with GCP, one of the sales guys pulled me aside. I asked him, like, how can this be successful? What can we, how is this going to work? And he said, point blank, it's, Joe, there's two kinds of people in this world. There's givers and takers, right? The people that aren't going to be successful are the ones that just always take, 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 and never give. So it has to be a good relationship like that. And I think that definitely reinforced, uh, I think, the success that we had. Um, because I did notice in other conversations with technology companies where it was very, you know, how can you help pitch our product? How can you help get us sales? It is a very lopsided conversation. The discussions with the partner rep was very much okay. So, like, what deal is you bringing to the table? Like, I felt like it was like a sales kickoff.
Mm,
What's your, but then the corresponding return, like, okay, so how are you going to help us as well, right? How's technology vendor X going to help my company? I mean, that was very, that was often missing. So I would always keep that in the back of my head. And I would say, okay, cool. So these are probably the partners I'm going to be de-emphasizing going forward because it seems like a very lopsided relationship. It's energy in, energy out. Um, so, and the other, I think the flip side of that though is I remember there was one company we talked to, popular data vendor, and asked, okay, so, like, what do you do for your partners? Like, well, we put you on the website. I'm like, okay, like, that's not that exciting. So, but they thought that was a really big deal because they're pretty hot shit, and just saying, well, you should be glad to work with us. I'm like, please don't gaslight me. I'm I'm not in a position where you need to talk to me like that. So it just goes both ways, right? I think that because it's at the same time, people like me are also listening for the red flags of the company. And we
mm,
partnered, and some of the great partnerships we had, some of them were very, very early vendors, right? I think we were maybe their first partner in some cases, and those are good. Others, well-established companies. I think it's almost like some companies, especially the established ones, they get too big. I'm not talking about the ones I've mentioned. There's others, but they get big, and I think there's a bit of ego that comes in where it's like, you're working with us now. It's like, yeah,
yep.
but we can also go work with a competitor too if you want to be like that. So it's not a big deal. Like,
Yeah, that happens so often. It's one of the most common things I see is companies coming to me and be like, yeah, we were working with this vendor, but they got too big for their boots and they stopped delivering on their promises and they don't pay us
yeah,
any attention anymore. So we're looking to work with, a different vendor that is, has a really strong offering when it comes to partnerships. And
hmm,
that's why it's so important to get right. Because otherwise you can lose great opportunities.
great opportunities. And think, yeah, yeah, you're right, because the industry, it changes so quick. So that audit that you do with your partners is a great thing to do, just because, or these, love your partners, but are they relevant in the next 2 years? Or, what are they doing? Are they mistreating, or are they treating you well? Do you have a great relationship? Yeah, all the above. It's yeah. Kind of switching gears a bit. So, um, you're also into fitness, which is kind of cool. So I think
Yeah.
you do like Hyrox, don't you? Or do
Yeah.
other stuff? Cool.
Yes, I do Hyrox. I love Hyrox so much, but and do you know what? I always say that I couldn't have run my business without starting the gym. I started at the gym at a very similar time to starting my business. I think I started at the gym a month before starting my business. And what it really did for me in that first year is teach me that I'm capable of more than I think I'm capable of.
Yep.
Because if I would go to the gym in the morning and I would do, sprints, for example, I learned that I was just getting quicker and quicker and I didn't think I could. And then my friend would go, no, you can go faster. And I would go a little bit faster. And he would go, no, faster, faster. And every single time I thought, I can't do it. Then I proved to myself I could. And I took that energy with me for the rest of the day. So for me, my journey with fitness has run in parallel to my journey in business. And really kept me going in those tough moments. Obviously, it's given me a bit of an escape from it sometimes, really helped me regulate my nervous system as well. But Hyrox has been so great because it's so dynamic. There's so many different things that you get to do within a race like that. And it's a
Explain the
great
format for
community.
the audience.
So it is 8 1 kilometer runs and then 8 rounds of functional fitness between the runs. So you'll do a run and then you'll do a 1 kilometer ski erg. You'll do a run, you'll do a sled push, a run, a sled pull, and so on. The worst round is in my opinion, is the 80 meters of burpee broad jumps.
Yep.
And once you're through that, then you're you're good from there. So
You
it's a
have
big
wall balls in there
race.
too, right?
And that's last. But the wall balls, there's 100 wall balls, and you get
Gross.
penalized if you don't squat low enough. They
Yeah.
literally are just watching you. There's one person watching you, well, like 1 to 1 watchers. And if you don't squat low enough, that happened to me in Paris. I did Paris Hyrox, and I didn't quite squat low enough, and they no repped me for 25 wall balls. So I had to do
Wait, because
25
you
of them
got one
again.
off, you got DQ, you got do 25 as a penalty, or
No, no,
you
I
didn't do it no rep for 25.
yeah, no rep for 25. So 25 of them I hadn't done low enough. But
You
now they have a counter on a screen for a lot of them. Back then, they were doing a clicker. So I came straight in, did 25 straight away, and then looked at the clicker just to double check. And they went, "No, you've only done 15 because 10
that's
of them were no
cruel.
repped." I was like, "Are you kidding me? You didn't think to tell me." And they were like, "We don't interrupt you. So you've got to do it and then check." So I didn't know. So I ended up doing 125 in that
Yeah,
race,
gross.
which is a lesson for me.
So for the
So yeah,
audience,
I've
wall
done.
balls are pretty horrible, by the way. So to do like 100, it's very rare you're gonna do. Eleanor mentioned 100, but 100 in a row, for example, is pretty brutal. You want to break them up. My old coach Tommy Hackenbrook, I think at the CrossFit Games, he did 150 wall balls in one shot, in addition to everything else, and like that was everyone thought that was insane because it is
Yeah. And this is at the end of a race,
at
and
the
it's so
end.
funny because you think it's
No,
like that until you're in it. You don't know it. You get there and you get to the end of this race, and you can see the finish line. So you think in your mind you would just smash it out,
nope.
and then you get there and you're like, I can't bring myself to do any more. I've got actually a hack because I'm always wearing a watch. So my rule is that I have to move on the next 30 or 60 seconds.
Yep.
So if I stop at any point, if I stop at like 24 seconds, great, I've got 6 seconds rest. If I stop at 6 seconds, I'm winning. I've got more rest. But my rule is I have to go again on that 30 or 60. Otherwise, I will never start moving again.
Oh, it's hard. I was in Chicago actually when they were doing the Hyrox Worlds, I think, a couple months ago. Um, I didn't watch it, but I watched it on TV, and it was like Hunter McIntyre, who actually knew from Spartan days.
Mm,
Really fit dude, but like him and the guy who got first, I don't remember his name, but it was they were within seconds of each other with the wall balls. But like I think they do that on purpose at the end because it is technique based, and you have to be dialed in every one of them.
yep.
Whereas with the ski erg, it's like what are you gonna judge? Like you cranked out more meters in really sloppy fashion. Like you can
Yeah.
you can kind of just fall on the ski erg and it'll just like do it'll get meters on it. But wall balls, it's actually pretty technical and it's freaking exhausting. So
It really is. The burpee broad jumps is another area where they
that
watch
sucks.
you intensely because your hands have to go where your feet land. You
Yep.
can't fall forward into it,
Which is
which
easy to
is
do.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I love it.
That's
But
cool.
I'm doing a half marathon next month around
Yay.
Richmond Park. So it's a bit of a trail half marathon. And historically I've hated running long distances. So that's why I'm doing it. I very much choose things that I hate doing and then just challenge myself to do them.
That's cool. Half marathon. I mean, again, half marathon. It sounds easy enough, but I can't do it mentally. I'm just like, oh, really. But trail's even harder. So
Yeah, I really like trail running though, because
trail
it's
is
really
fun.
technical. And I think if I'm just running, I can overthink. Whereas if you're
Yeah.
doing a trail, it's quite technical. So you can't just think about your business all the entire time. You actually get forced to think about different things. So I do like a trail too. It's harder, but I like it.
It is. Salt Lake City has a lot of trail runners here, but I think they all just get really high and go for hours. So it's
Wow. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can't do that
There's
here.
there's a lot of good ones here. But that's awesome. Good for you. And I suppose you'll pick another crazier activity after that. So
Yeah. Who knows what it'll be?
that's super cool. But you're right, it
Yeah.
does translate to business. So it's, it's good. It's like therapy
Yeah.
in a
It
cool way.
really is. It's so important. Whenever people talk about starting a business, I'm like, make sure you have a good workout schedule. You don't have to do intent. You don't have to do Hyrox. No one's saying you have to do that alongside business, but have
Right.
something. Like have something that's going to get you out of the house. That's going to really get you moving. To make sure that your mind and body are in a good place.
Absolutely. Like right after this, I'm gonna go do 10,000 meters on my rower. So
Great, 10,000 meters.
yeah,
That is that's really impressive.
it's mental training. Just like I said, I get bored super easy. So part of it is just sit there, zone out.
Yeah,
So
that's really impressive.
I guess it's you watch it from a distance. So you watch somebody row, and you're just like that. Okay, cool, boring. So,
Yeah.
like when CrossFit Games, they had the athletes row a marathon. That was 49,000 kilometers or 39,000 meters. I don't know why they did that.
Wow.
As a spectator, you're
That
like, what the fuck?
that is that's crazy. I mean, the row is my favorite part of Hyrox because it's the only time your heart rate comes down. But
Yeah.
to do anything more than a kilometer, no, thank you. I'm
I think
not.
they had somebody who was keeping like a sub 2 minute pace for the 49K.
Wow.
Yeah, that's insane.
I that's I can't even fathom that. Like
I
that
don't.
is crazy.
It's like what the fuck. Anyway, we'll probably try that next. So,
No,
um,
absolutely not. My brother just ran 100K though, so
ew,
yeah, that was a 100K trail. It was the most impressive thing I've ever seen in my life, and I will
that's
not be doing
badass.
it myself. But
You never know.
yeah,
So, for people who want to learn more about you, how can they find you?
on LinkedIn, Eleanor Thompson on LinkedIn, or you can go to branchworks.io and reach out there.
Which works. Awesome. Thanks for the fun
Yeah,
chat. I'm looking forward to hang out with you again soon. So,
likewise. Thank you so much.
of course. See ya.